It's Wednesday, September 9th, and this is now on HNN.
We want to see the number of cases come down over a average period of 7 days to 2 weeks.
Mayor Caldwell extends Oahu's stay-at-home order, but reopens parks, beaches, and trails for solo activities.
Every 2 weeks, you keep pushing it. You knew probably 2 weeks ago you wasn't going to open.
Businesses struggling to stay afloat say they're disappointed, but not surprised by the announcement.
More than 24 major wildfires continue to tear through California. I'm Chris Martinez with how the weather is making the fight more difficult.
These stories, plus the White House's response to Bob Woodward's new book about President Trump. That's coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. I'm Jonathan Jared Sapi, your director and producer, alongside Ashley. We want to begin today, like we do so many others, with those latest numbers from the State Department of Health. Today, they're once again showing in the triple digits.
Health officials say 3 more patients with COVID-19 have died, bringing Hawaii's death toll to 91. DOH is also reporting 100 new cases today. The county breakdown says 88 are on Oahu and 12 are on the Big Island. Here's a live look outside at Waikiki Beach. Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell announced he's extending Oahu's stay-at-home order for 2 more weeks through September 23rd, but will reopen parks, beaches, and trails for individual activities. The new order, which takes effect Thursday, means non-essential businesses will remain closed. We talked to Congressman Ed Case today to get his take on this latest move to curb the spread of the virus.
I want to talk a little bit about the state's COVID response and where things are right now. Congressman, the mayor of Honolulu just extended the stay-at-home order. Do you think that was the right move? And what do you want folks here, especially in Oahu, to know about following those restrictions for the better good?
I don't think there was any choice in the matter. I think we had to extend that order given the continued resurgence of COVID-19. You cannot sustain that level of COVID-19 infection over time without not only completely messing up the public health, but it is linked inextricably to economic stability. And so we have to get public health under control. We have to continue that level of restriction until we do.
And I want to talk about that with the economy and local businesses here that really have been feeling the brunt of these restrictions. With the extension, what's happening at the federal level to provide them some relief?
Well, in mid-May, so we're talking about 120 days ago or so right now, the U.S. House passed a $3 trillion additional emergency assistance package that would go back to the CARES Act and refund the small business programs, refund all of the areas that have been so critical to getting us through just a couple of months of basic survival mode. And the Senate has not acted on that. And today we saw the Senate's version come forward, and it's simply unacceptable from the perspective of what is actually needed throughout this country. So, I'm still holding out hope that cooler heads are going to prevail and people will get away from this, winner-take-all mentality of negotiation in Washington and actually come up with the emergency assistance package that is going to help, because that's absolutely indispensable to all of us across the country, including and especially our small businesses here.
When we talk about reopening the economy, especially to tourism, where are things right now with Trans-Pacific travel, welcoming folks back into the state, and do you think the state's doing enough to get that going?
I think the state is definitely pursuing the right track of how to do this. First of all, people are not going to come here if they come into an unsafe environment. That's the bottom line. People want to come to Hawaii, but they're not going to get on a plane and spend discretionary money if they feel that when they get off that plane, they're going to take COVID-19 back. Neither do we want them to come under those circumstances. So it's very difficult for us to really reopen tourism anywhere close to the prior volume until public health is taken care of in both Hawaii and the rest of the country, and the world, by the way. We can, in fact, develop bubbles with other countries. And I think that's a very promising area that we do need to continue to explore. But let's not forget that a bubble depends on both parts of that bubble having public health under control. So that's critical for us to do, number one. And number two, I still believe that ultimately the only way to provide for that safety of travel is to require pre-testing before people get on airplanes. So in other words, you have to get a test and prove negative before you even get on the airplane to start with. The quarantine, when people get here, it's got too many, leaky holes in it.
And Congressman Ed Case, thank you so much for being with us today. We certainly appreciate your time. I'm Casey Lund for This Is Now.
Mayor Caldwell says some outdoor activities can resume on Oahu starting tomorrow. We got Billy V standing by to explain.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and give you details. City parks, botanical gardens, certain park facilities and beaches, they will reopen tomorrow. Once again, those are the items that will be opening. And let's give you a little bit more detail now. Individual activities, including remaining in place, fishing, walking, running, or biking. These are allowed in those areas. Access to the ocean, standalone comfort stations, and outdoor showers remain available. Now, here's the thing. Group activities are not allowed with any number of people, regardless of household. So even if you're family members, you're the same family in the same house, you're not allowed to congregate. It's all solo activities. Some people have said that they're a little frustrated by the extension of the stay-at-home order.
We would like to see retail opened up all the way. We are not one of the hot spots, and we make sure people social distance, and it's not where people gather around. It's kind of like we're being punished for other people's mistakes and what they're not doing to social distance. Like I said, from the beginning, we've always made sure, we had all the personal protection equipment placed in.
Not to rush like we did the first time, where we had 10 reopenings and then a surge in cases, which led to the second shutdown. We don't want to repeat that a third time.
Other announcements that were made with the extension of the stay-at-home order: parking lots, bicycle paths, and the Cocoa Head Tramway will remain open following their regular schedule. People's open markets are expected to resume regular operations soon. They'll announce that later. Other commercial activities are suspended in the parks. There's a whole bunch of remaining closed items, such as play courts, pools, playgrounds, exercise equipment, off-leash parks. We've got the entire list for you. You can go check it out at hawaiinewsnow.com. Once again, city parks, certain park facilities and beaches, they reopen starting tomorrow. From Kapiolani Park, I'm Billy V for This Is Now.
New at noon, members of the state's COVID collaborative unveiled a new communications initiative as well as an informational hub at covidpow.org.
Beyond the data, what we're doing is we're going to be turning that information. We're going to be sharing it in the voice of subject matter experts in a way that is understandable, I think, to the broader community, as well as sharing it in a way that turns it into information through storytelling and in a way that really makes it personal.
The group says COVID POWELL is a project that shares real-time data with expert analysis and interpretation alongside real stories from local families to help community members make informed choices to protect their health. They say COVID POWELL is designed to bridge a gap in communications, helping the public become more effective at controlling the virus so the state can reopen the economy.
Now let's go to an exclusive look from the front line where paramedics encounter COVID-19 daily. Our Allison Blair rode along with one crew that responded to 14 calls on one shift alone.
North Policy Street, first sick person.
Copy, responding. Sounds good. District 2 is ground zero for COVID.
For Honolulu EMS, the coronavirus pandemic is like a marathon with no finish line.
In the past couple weeks, it's increased a lot.
It's both physical and mental exhaustion.
The moment a call's complete, the ambulance is dispatched to the next.
Sometimes it's just constantly drop off to the next, clean up, get bopped out again for another call.
For the crew assigned to Metro 1, downtime has become non-existent. 10 minutes after clocking in Tuesday, they were on the scene of their first call at the Equus, a Waikiki hotel turned government quarantine facility. The patient, COVID positive.
It's real. You're seeing this every day. It's the fever, the body aches, the weakness, the oxygen levels in their blood, it's very low. Standing by in quarters, Metro 1.
Despite the latest lockdown, call volume hasn't slowed.
Did you call 911?
On top of its normal workload, Honolulu EMS has transported 307 COVID-positive patients to emergency rooms across Oahu since March, plus many more who were likely infected.
When did you get tested? No test.
Right there, we just never know.
And that critical information isn't always easy to get.
Do you speak Cantonese? I do have trust in the precautions that we take. We don't really have time to worry. Mask up, gown up.
Putting on all of those extra layers takes time. So does the new decontamination protocol. Prior to COVID, the average call would take between 30 to 45 minutes. Now it's well over an hour. And with hospitals in town operating at or near capacity, EMS can't always transport to the nearest facility. Instead, they go where the bed's available.
Hello, my name is Brent Shimubukuro, a paramedic with the city. Are you related to?
Even if family wants the patient somewhere else.
Right now, they're just kind of sending us to a different hospital and dispatching us that way because of how busy it is. You're welcome. Okay, take care.
After the sun sets, the rush continues.
Not everyone's going to be deathly ill.
People are coming to us looking for answers.
9 hours into a 12-hour shift and no one's had a chance to eat. The only break was about 5 minutes, enough time to run to the restroom.
Even though you're tired and you're sweating and you're sore, I love what I do.
It's critical care for a community on the edge of crisis.
It's heartbreaking to see whole families being sick, and people saying that it's fake. It's hard to tell the family that there's not much that we can do. They're isolated in an ER because they can't breathe.
In Honolulu, Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
And speaking of Hawaii's frontline workers, Hawaii News Now produced an hour-long special last night where they were the focus.
You know, it's disheartening. But I wish people could just see what we see every single day. We see the 29-year-old who is otherwise healthy calling us because he's scared and he can't breathe. And his lung sounds are terrible. And then we have the family member that we need to transport to the hospital with another family member crying because they're not going to be able to come with us. They don't know if this is the last time they're going to see their loved ones.
COVID-19, it's real. It's a real threat. And we need to do everything that we can to stop the spread.
The special airs again today at 3 p.m. on KCHNL. We're also posting it online on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and HawaiiNewsNow.com.
All right, let's get to some more news from the world of politics now. Senator Mazie Hirono joined us on Sunrise this morning to discuss the upcoming election.
The Trump administration has politicized the Postal Service by putting as the head of the Postal Service somebody whose claim to that office is only because he's a $1 million contributor to the Trump campaign, has absolutely no experience with the Postal Service, began to institute some changes that resulted in major delays to the delivery of mail, which, as you well know, Hawaii people depend on a lot for medication, Social Security checks, and now, of course, the mail-in ballots.
The White House denies President Trump lied to the American public about the threat of the coronavirus. This comes after the president's interview with journalist Bob Woodward revealed that he had downplayed the virus in public while recognizing in private it was deadly.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
Now, we had to show calm. We had to show, if it was up to you or whoever, I have no idea what he said in the book. And again, it's a book that I gave him some quotes, and frankly, we'll see how the book turned out. I have no idea. You're asking me questions for the first time. But again, the last thing we can show is panic or excitement or fear or anything else. We had to take care of the situation we were given.
President Trump was interviewed for a total of 9 hours for Woodward's new book, Rage. Audio clips of the interviews were published in the media today. Hawaii Community Correctional Center was locked down after authorities say inmates got violent while protesting conditions at the prison. HCCC is the only jail in the state over capacity right now. There are 290 inmates and only 226 beds. The disturbance yesterday started as a brawl, which led to a housing unit being set on fire and inmates barricading doors. ACOs from Kulani Correctional Facility and 20-plus police officers were called in to help. We're told inmates were injured and guards needed to be treated for smoke inhalation. 25 inmates are also being questioned.
Developing news, record-setting wildfires are spreading on the West Coast. They're being fueled by dry, hot winds that are only expected to pick up. We got Chris Martinez with the very latest developments from California.
Sections of the Angeles National Forest that haven't burned in decades are now in flames, and the notorious Santa Ana winds threaten to push the Bobcat fire into the foothill communities, where residents are on alert.
We basically have a backpack with personal things and anything that we can think of that we may need in case we have to evacuate.
The fire that erupted over the weekend has grown to over 11,000 acres. It's burning out of control and sending embers into the air.
As we're talking right now, you can feel these ashes, and then the embers and that wind can take that ember and go as far as 100 to 200 feet and start another fire. So we're real concerned about that.
Smoke from the Bobcat fire is blanketing the skies over neighborhoods like this one in Monrovia. This area is under an evacuation warning. Everyone here told be ready to get out. Just 25 miles away, parts of downtown LA are under a thick cloud of smoke, while further north in central California, the Creek Fire is raging, already burning an area 5 times the size of San Francisco. Firefighters worked in steep terrain hoping to save the tiny town of Shaver Lake, and residents of the Bay Area woke up in a smoky orange haze.
I looked outside and it looked like doomsday. I mean, you could tell something is horribly going wrong.
Fires are also ripping through parts of Oregon and Washington state, where more acres burned in a single day than firefighters usually see all year.
This is crazy. We've lived here for 15 years and we've never had to be prepared to evacuate.
Here in California, the blistering heat wave has made matters worse, leaving forests bone dry and extra vulnerable, with fire season still far from over. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Monrovia, California.
And Chris mentioned that haze. Check out this live video feed coming into the H&N Digital Center. This is San Francisco, the Bay Bridge. Definitely an orangish haze covering the whole bay there.
Yeah, my friends who are in San Francisco have been posting pictures very similar to this, and they've described it as apocalyptic, as very ominous. And yeah, it's only, what, 3:18 over there right now?
Yeah. Well, you know, the National Weather Service here actually tweeted pictures of the horizon last week here at home on the islands, and they were saying that the smoke is actually impacting the sunsets here as well. So check out their Twitter and Facebook page if you want to see that picture. Let's turn it over to Guy with a check of our weather.
How's it on this Wednesday? We've got the trade winds coming in at a little stronger pace today and for the next couple of days before they back off for the weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be especially sticky. Now, we won't get a whole lot of rain, and that's why the drought conditions are expected to continue. It's been especially dry, and those severe drought conditions for parts of Maui County will continue until the next rainfall comes in with significant amounts, and that's not going to be anytime soon. So wind directions coming in from the east-northeast, and they will be stronger today. Those winds, especially from Maui to Kauai. Lighter winds, of course, with higher humidity levels down for the Kona side of the Big Island. So that means there's a possibility for afternoon showers for the Kona side of the Big Island. Otherwise, we'll see textbook trade wind weather. Lots of sunshine, high temperatures running to about 90 degrees, but those breezy winds will help regulate the humidity levels. Now, as far as the surf, it's going to be better today up in the country. An off-season swell, let's call it a preseason swell, coming into north and west shores. It's not big, it's below advisory levels, but because the swell is coming in from the northwest, most spots are working well up in the country with decent conditions due to those trade winds. So again, we're expecting mostly dry conditions, maybe a few windward and Mauka showers. Breezy winds will continue through Friday, and then we're expecting those lighter winds with higher humidity levels taking over on Saturday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
The internet is buzzing and my stomach is grumbling. That's because a nostalgic cake brand, Little Debbie, is teaming up with Kellogg's for something cool. Let me pull it up for you. We're talking about oatmeal cream pies cereal.
Oh,
yeah, right?
That looks good.
This is to celebrate that young lady's special birthday. Any guesses? Judging by that outfit, she's turning 60. It's the 60th anniversary of Little Debbie's, and this special cereal is expected to hit store shelves in December. Kellogg's confirms the cereal will be crispy oatmeal puffs with a cream coating.
Yum! Cereal is my weakness.
I love it.
Awesome. This is what I found. Apple is about to unveil its first floating store, and it's pretty impressive, you guys. So Apple Marina Bay Sands is a glass dome-shaped building in Singapore. It sits directly on Marina Bay with a 360-degree view of the city skyline. Nearly 150 employees that speak 24 languages start welcoming customers Thursday by appointment only.
Very cool.
It's a beautiful area if you've ever been to the Marina Bay. I mean, lots of great architecture. You can just feel how rich the city is. It's a great spot.
Have to check it out next time I'm in Singapore.
And there's another Barbie doll honoring the Day of the Dead. So the doll is part of a collection inspired by Dia de los Muertos, a Mexican holiday honoring the lives of those who have passed away. Now, the annual multi-day observance runs October 31st through November 2nd this year. And like the first limited edition collectible, the second doll pays tribute to the traditional symbols and rituals of the holiday.
We both lived in Arizona and Tucson, took part in the Day of the Dead celebrations. That is a very cool addition to the Barbie lineup. Yeah, I like it. All right, guys. Well, it's hard to believe it was 1.5 years ago that we were all watching those images of the Notre Dame Cathedral going up in flames. Well, now parts of it are coming back to life. We've got Matt Bradley with a report from NBC News.
This morning, one small part of Notre Dame Cathedral is reopening, almost a year and a half after the iconic church in Paris was nearly destroyed in a massive fire. In the cathedral's shadow, underground is Notre Dame's archaeological crypt. The remains of an ancient city built by the Romans long before people even called this place Paris. It wasn't damaged in the fire, but it filled with dangerous lead dust that had to be carefully cleaned and vacuumed. Today, visitors finally had their first look at the cleaned ruins.
I loved visiting Notre Dame when it was still alive, and so it's a good first start to be able to visit underneath.
The cathedral faces a challenge to rebuild its entire roof destroyed by flames.
Well, now it's become a bit of a solemn spectacle. Folks still stopping, all of them looking up, wondering how long is it going to take to rebuild Notre Dame?
The extensive repairs now happening during a global pandemic. The damage could cost $1 billion, and the repairs could take at least 5 years.
The burning of Notre Dame was a kind of trauma. It was very difficult to see, and it's very important to go back to Notre Dame now.
He hopes this exhibit will remind everyone that Notre Dame is worth saving.
Well, with the fire and then with this pandemic, it really just seems like nothing is going Notre Dame's way. But, you know, when I looked at that exhibit, it really reminds you just how much this 1,000-year-old gorgeous church has seen and survived so many catastrophes before. And that's why so many Parisians are hopeful that Our Lady of Paris will persist once again. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Paris.
Good to see that transition happening there in Paris. You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. We're going to have so many updates coming up for you throughout the day, so be sure to check our new 4 o'clock newscast.